Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. It's time for a preview of the Sunday race of the day over at Aqueduct. I'm Gino Buccola alongside David Aragona with producer Lucia helping us out for this one. Remember, you can also get free past performances for every race of the day at DRF.com. As we move to meet the field, we'd always love to hear from you with a selection. Let us know. Do you agree with David? Do you agree with me? Are you going in a different direction? David, a couple talented horses in this one. The three, Mazayat has been really improving in three consecutive starts. She faced a couple really nice horses in her first two. She was able to put it all together in her third start to break the maiden. Thought to the outside, Sweet Seraphine. She's run a couple really nice races. She just put it all together and broke the maiden. You have a horse like Pink Ruby and Cat Chat, who are multiple winners, but faced maybe a little bit softer company and step up and face tougher in here. So not the biggest group in the world, but an interesting group with some talented fillies.
Yeah, and those two fillies that I set as the morning line favorites, the number 3 and number 6, are the two horses that are coming off maiden victories, but it felt like they actually kept some pretty good company in maiden races. We'll get into that more when we talk about the individual contenders, and it does kind of feel like they're the two with upside coming in here.
Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector and see how they feel this race will shape up. It's the 1 turn mile at Belmont at the Big A. They've got Mazayat, no surprise, up towards the front. Dry Powder is also pretty quick, David. And then Liam in the Dusk with the inside draw will possibly try to hold that position. And you have an aggressive rider, Flavian Pratt, who usually doesn't like to give in situations like this. So small field, but could see at least a few of them wanting to be forward in here. Even Pink Ruby to the outside is not necessarily a horse who wants to come from way out of it.
No, this feels like it's going to be a competitive pace scenario. And while the number 3 Messiah is shown on the front end, I think she might be the most versatile of the
Yeah.
top 3 that you see out there because she has stalked the pace in the past. And I think, just given the fact that she's going to be one of the shorter price in here, they probably don't want to go out in a speed duel. And maybe this is a good spot to experiment a little bit more with rating tactics. So horses like Dry Powder and especially Pink Ruby, who's shown a little further behind them, they have run their best races when they're able to get out towards the front, contesting that pace. So I'd imagine they could get more aggressive rides to her outside.
Let's meet the field here for the Wilton. $125,000 up for grabs. We kick things off with Liam in the Dust. This is a multiple graded stakes placed filly, but she's coming off a disappointing effort in the Black Eyed Susan that was run over a sloppy track. She was in the 2 path. She was pressing the leader, and she was just all in early, and she tired that day. Margie's Intention, who won, came back and ran second in the Delaware Oaks. And earlier in her career, Liam in the Dust did face some nice fillies like Immersive and Muhima. But David, she ran a 74 buyer in her career debut. She just really hasn't improved since then, right? That's the best buyer speed figure. I think she has a 77 slightly a few starts later, but she really hasn't shown a whole lot of improvement from early on in her career.
She hasn't. When you watch her races and kind of see her in the paddock, you get the same impression. She's never really grown up and just seems like a horse that might have been precocious early on and maybe has not gone on with it. And you can also see her mental game is just sort of off these days. And that's one big reason why I think the rail draw might not be ideal for her, because you look at the last 2 times that she's drawn the inside post position and she's reacted really badly to it. She just doesn't seem like she appreciates racing in tight quarters inside of horses. She reacted badly to the eventual Black Eyed Susan runner-up, Paris Lily, coming over on her into the clubhouse turn of that race and steadied into the turn. So if she's not quick enough to make the lead here, which I'm doubtful that she is, she could find herself in another undesirable position.
Cat Chat, the number 2, is one of the multiple winners in this field. She's been visually impressive in her last couple, but I think you pick the races apart, you can see that there are a lot softer spots than what she'll be in on Sunday, on April the 10th. She made a big move and she ends up winning that race by 4+ at Gulfstream Park. There were a couple next out winners in that race, but those horses both came to win next out with buyers in like the low 60s. They really weren't a whole heck of a lot. Then David at Belmont at Aqueduct, it was just a field of 3. So while the win on paper looks solid, she wins pretty easily. 2 horses battled. She sat behind the 2. She made a big swoop late. So while she is certainly moving in the right direction, this is a pretty sizable step up to face horses like Mazayat, Sweet Seraphine, even a Dry Powder compared to what she's been facing.
Yeah, not only was it a field of 3 last time, but she was beating 2 horses that were entered for the turf and had only ever run on the turf. So, I mean, it kind of made sense that she was able to get the job done as the one horse with dirt experience. And furthermore, Gino, yeah, there's pace in this race to set up her late run, but she has gotten some really fast paces to close into in both of those last 2 victories, particularly 2 back at Gulfstream Park. So I think she's a little bit dressed up, as you said, when you start to take her form apart.
Mazayat has been very talented in her 3 starts. She's shown ability in all of them. Career debut. She's a runner-up at Gulfstream Park. There were 3 next out winners from that debut. I believe the winner, Indy Bay, has won 3 in a row. The last couple with 90-plus buyers. Just won the Jersey Girl Stakes at Saratoga. Comes back in the 2nd start. Loses to a horse named Clicquot, who's also been talented and a next out winner, and I think threw up an 87 buyer when she won her next start. And we see Mazayat here getting the job done at Belmont at the Big A. This was in May, David, and this is a good effort. She separates early. She's able to hold off another late challenge. She's just moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that horse that was challenging her late Merceau is another horse that came back to win, repeating her buyer. She got another 81 coming out of that race. So it really just confirms that Mazayat's form that you see on paper is rock solid. You cannot tear it apart at all. And she's faced really good maiden fields so far. Yeah, it took her 3 tries to break through, but she ran well in both losses while stepping forward each time. And just feels like this is a really good spot to try winners, Gino. I know it's a stakes race and not a first level allowance, but it didn't come up that tough. The conditions of this race are going to ensure that the top players in the division don't show up here, and it just seems like a good race to get her experience against winners, and I view her as the horse to beat.
Yeah, I mean, she's faced winners in a couple of her maiden races already, right?
Mhm.
Those horses who came back and
Yeah.
won and earned those speed figures. So we know she's able to compete against horses just like this. Dry powder, 2 races, couple really nice efforts in the career debut, is able to win, hold on by a neck, got to the lead, got pressed, and got headed and battled back. And then in the most recent start was battling with Scottish Lassie just off the lead, put away Scottish Lassie early in the stretch, opened up a length, but was no match for Cassiar late. I still thought she was pretty solid to run a clear-cut second in this effort. Cassiar, I think, came back and ran 6th in the Delaware Oaks, so didn't really frank that form all that much. But I don't really knock what Dry Powder has done in these 2 starts.
No, and you kind of get mixed signals of the form coming out of this race because, as you said, the winner came back to disappoint a little bit, but Scottish Lassie, who she dueled into defeat, came back to finish 3rd in the Acorn, and she improved her buyer up to an 89. So the horse that she was actually involved in the pace with came back to do well. So maybe you want to upgrade that performance just a little bit. I still wonder if she's ultimately going to be best going a mile because she showed so much speed on debut. I know these are the races they're focusing on now. I kind of wonder if she might ultimately turn out to be more of a 6.5, 7 furlong type of horse that's splitting hairs a little bit, but with the other speed signed on in here, she's going to have to show some stamina to get the job done.
Pink Ruby's in nice form. She's won back-to-back races. One of them was at Oaklawn Park, high-level maiden claiming race, and then she stepped up. She faced First Level Allowance Company on May the 18th over at Monmouth Park. She cleared the field this day. She was over 6-1. She opens up a length, and this was winning the second consecutive race. So all positives. I'm just a little bit worried about the way this race shapes up, David. And you can see she's getting a little bit tired here late. She's going to have to deal with other pace pressure. It looked like as we were looking at the pace projector, and they thought there could be 3 or 4 horses here all close to each other pushing the pace. So I respect what she's done recently, those 2 victories, and certainly she's a 3-year-old filly who's lightly raced and is heading in the right direction, but I'm not sure if this is the best spot with that the other speed signed on in here.
Yeah, and when you watch the entirety of that last replay, which you can do when you access your free formulator PPs for this race, she just busted out of the gate, crossed right over on that field, and was able to really back down the pace early and control every step of the way. I don't think that's going to happen here. And while I respect that she's a horse that's improving with every start, this feels like it is a pretty big step up for her.
Rounding out the field is Sweet Seraphine. She's raced twice, and she's shown some real versatility in the 2 starts. That career debut, she was battling early. She was just behind the leader, about a half length off. She was in contention until late in the stretch, and she held 3rd pretty well. And she was one of 4 next out winners in that debut race at Ellis Park. It was a very strong debut race, David. I think the winner, Echo Sound, just recently won the grade 3 Miss Preakness and is 4 for 5. Runner Evanescence, who was in there, Wake Me Up Inside, came back to win. Grade 2 place, multiple stakes placed. The 6th place finisher, I think Sister Carly, came back to win a restricted maiden special weight next out. Even Kinsey Queen, who wasn't a next out winner, was 10th in there, is now multiple graded stakes place. So that was a really strong debut race at Ellis Park.
It was, and she came back off that long layoff following that one debut experience, stretching all the way out to a mile, second time out for Cherie DeVaux, and put in a really good performance. Didn't get the easiest trip in the sense that she had to do things that she didn't have to do on debut, right behind horses, come through along the inside, split runners in the lane, but she really finished gamely in the late stages of that race to photo with a horse that actually you could see in Mazayat's PP. She's a horse that was just a length behind Mazayat two back in that maiden race at Keeneland, the horse that Sweet Seraphine was in the photo with. So those form lines hold up pretty well. And you got to feel like there's upside for this horse, Gino, second off the layoff, her second time going a mile. And she's supposed to get the right kind of trip, breaking outside of a lot of speed.
Yeah, and she doesn't have to be as far back as she was in that race. We know she can sit closer because she was closer in that sprint race in her debut. So just give her some options from the outside with Irad aboard. I think she fits really, really well in here. As we move to selections for this one, David, I landed on Sweet Seraphine, and I think you did too. For me, the versatility, what she showed in those starts, the outside draw, the ability to sit off the pace a little bit, and how strong some of the company that she's faced, especially that debut race, and those horses have come back and all run well. I'm going to stack them 6-3, 2-4, and you're pretty similar. You're going to go 6-3, 4-1. Talk to us a little more about Sweet Seraphine.
Yeah, I don't know if she's a great horse for me to bet in this race because she's going to be one of the two favorites, and I think she might be a slightly shorter price than maybe her form suggests that she should be. But there are just a lot of arrows pointing in this direction, Gino. I mean, she's supposed to get the right kind of trip. She's drawn well. Second off the layoff, it feels like there's improvement here. So a lot of reasons to like her, but that's also a reason why I've got her so short on the line for this race. So more than wagering on this race, I'm interested to see how these fillies progress into the Wilton on Sunday.
Free PPs for the Sunday race of the day at DRF.com. Good luck.